Today, well, today is not the first day, but today is finally the day I finished and had success. I was working on my Cadillac converter for my car, because if you look at the prices for a 1998 Nissan Sentra, a Cadillac converter manifold, the Cadillac converter manifold, it can go from $100, not $100, $200 to up to $700, and ain't nobody got time to be spending no money like that. So what I did was fixed it myself. I can say I fixed it now because the light is my engine light. It was on. I've been out without my Nissan Sentra. I've been without my Nissan Sentra for about 4 months, and I was blessed with the silver bullet. But now I'm just trying to get this all taken care of so I can go ahead and sell it. First thing, these are my tools. The tools that I use to get this job done. Got a pickle fork, a rubber mallet, a 22 millimeter crow's foot. Remember that. A breaker bar. That's what this is. A small pry bar. What's this? 12 millimeter socket. 12 millimeter wrench. 10 millimeter wrench. 2 jack stands for safety when you jack the car up. PB blaster, because those bolts and nuts get a little rusted. 10-inch extension bar. It's really a putty knife, but you know, we still kind of used it. A wrench. This wrench is actually bigger because it comes with it has the half-inch drive. I mean, the half-inch drive. Some of them come with the 3/8 or the 1/4, but this is a 3/8. I mean a 1/2 inch drive, and this is actually a converter. This is a 1/2 inch to 3/8 converter. So this end right here is 3/8, but this end, it takes the 1/2 inch. And yeah, you're gonna need that if you have a 1/2 inch drive ratchet socket. And this is a 22 millimeter O2 sensor socket. You don't really need it, but it came in handy. So yeah, let's get to it. This right here is the old Cadillac converter. These are the 2 top hoses. This is the bottom hose, and these are the 12 millimeter bolts that are already like built into the Cadillac converter, and these were the gaskets that went on top of the hoses on top. And this little devil right here, this is the air tube, and you're gonna see the pain I had with this crap. In this picture here, you see I had to remove the heat shield from, this is the heat shield. I had to remove the heat shield from the Cadillac converter. It's the protector from anything that might be touching the Cadillac converter, so it won't burn off basically. So the heat shield had 5 screws. First 2 screws were up top. This is one. This is the other one. This right here is where the O2 sensor went or was plugged into. The other screw is right here in the middle, or down in the middle, and the other 2, well, the other 3, one at the bottom left, one at the bottom right, and one at the very bottom. These were 10 millimeter screws. That's what that 10 millimeter socket was used for. Right here in the middle, like I said, that PB blaster spray, it can do the trick most of the time, but I had to actually use my pickle fork and my rubber mallet to beat around this sucker so I can get to the dog. Let me show you. This is the screw that's still stuck. You see how rusted how rusted that is on there. Like, it was so stripped and rusted that it was not, like, it wasn't budging at all. So this, if you look at this picture here, this is kind of how it looked, but this is how I had to beat around it to get it off of the car. I mean, off of the Cadillac converter. On each side, that's one side, two sides. This is the overview of the vehicle, and this is up close. O2 sensor, new O2 sensor, and these are the 4 bolts per side. So altogether, up here, it's 8 bolts down on the bottom, and these are all 12 millimeter bolts. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The other side, 1, 2, down back in that corner, 3, 4. To remove those bolts, I had to use my breaker bar. My breaker bar. This sucker came in handy. So the breaker bar is basically used to get bolts that are so rusted and stuck, to get them loose. So this is the breaker bar. It's longer than a regular wrench, as you can see, and I just used it, turned it counterclockwise. I'm not gonna do it again. I turned it counterclockwise. I did this for each 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All 8 of these bolts I broke loose with this original setup. Then I went to my ratchet set. Once my bolts were broken loose, I took my wrench. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. The ratchet set is easier because you can just turn it, and you can turn it without having to keep taking it on. So it'll just, like that, make that clicking noise. You can keep turning it to loosen it up to get it off or whatever. Like I said, I did that for all 8 of these bolts, and then the ones on the bottom I did the same as well. First of all, let me say, make sure for this O2 sensor, that's this 7/8 22 millimeter socket. You just fit it on here like so. Take my wrench, ratchet set, put it in there, turn it counterclockwise, and unscrew your O2 sensor. After you unscrew it, make sure you unplug it from here so you won't mess it up while you putting a new Cadillac converter on. Don't forget that. I'm sorry. Once you do that, the next thing I had to do, after I took these nuts off, the nuts on the bottom. Actually, in this picture, you can see once I jacked the car up, I had to get under the car, put my towels and everything up there, really play mechanic. Once I did that, I took my 12 millimeter socket and ratchet, unscrewed 2 bolts, because as you can see on the bottom of this old Cadillac converter, it's only 2. It's a 3rd hole, but you see how it's such a small space, you can't really get another screw in there. So it's just these 2. And actually, when I took it off, unscrewed it, pulled it out, but I was like, oh, I can't really pull it out. I wonder why I couldn't pull it out. The reason why I couldn't just pull it off, because of that little devil back there. Let me see, this little devil right here, which is the air tube. Now, the air tube was such a pain because I didn't know how to take it off. So let you know right now, if you have an air tube and it's in a, like, see how this is such a congested space, I can't really get a whole ratchet in here, and it's like so tight. And then I tried to use my 22 millimeter wrench. I can get it on there somewhat, but the way it was set up, if I keep using this, I was going to strip that nut. So what I had to do, like I said, remember this: crow's foot, crow's foot. I'm not gonna try and put it on there now because my Catalytic converter is hot, but this way you can put it on the air tube, slide it back, and put it on the actual nut. When you do that, this little hole right here, just for your wrench, a ratchet, you can put that in there. Then once you put that in there, you gotta, as if you just putting this socket on another bolt, you just turn it counterclockwise to loosen it up. Now you're gonna have to take the crow's foot on and off to be able to line it up on there to get back in this little small space. That way you can keep getting this in here like that and turn, because if you turn it, the crow's foot is gonna end up down here. You gotta take it off to put it back up here so you can get your wrench in there. I know it's kind of confusing, but that's what I had to do. Once I did that, took the old converter off, and I had to, these gaskets, and on the bottom, since there's really not a lot of space, I had to really fight and bend and curve and maneuver, because I had to, it says direct fit, but it's really not. So the problem was, if I screw these up here and screw these, if I screw them too tight, the ones on the bottom, I can't line it up to get into the hole to be able to put the bolts on. But then if I loosen these at the top and put those on the bottom, then I can't put this air tube screw on. But then if I put the air screw too tight on, then the ones at the bottom I can't line up with there. But then if I can't screw these in, then I got a big gap and the exhaust is gonna leak through. So I really just had to keep going back and forth between the top two, the air tube, and the bottom, in order to get a good line up to screw everything in. So again, you gotta make sure you screw in these two sections, 8 altogether, air tube back there, and these bottom 3. It actually was 2. Originally, I had them facing away from me, so while I was on the bottom, the screws were facing out, like towards the front of the car. But I realized when I had the old gaskets on, I had to take those off and flip them around so they look like this old Catalytic converter, where they're facing towards you as you're on the bottom of the car. Then once I did that, I took these old bolts, screwed them on the bottom on the new converter. Then I was actually able, it's more space on the new converter as you can see in this picture, but it's on the old one, like I said, it's not a lot of space. But on the new one, it was a little bit more space. So I put three screws in and put the bolts on there. And once I did that, I tightened those up on the bottom, came back up here. This is after I had everything lined up in the right holes. Put these 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and thank God this one already had a heat shield built into it already, so I didn't have to worry about that. My air tube, I did the same. I did the opposite. I just put my crow's foot on there. My crow's foot. Remember that. This tool, crow's foot. Put it on here and turn it counterclockwise, which is towards the engine. So this way. And I put my ratchet in here, but I had to keep doing the same thing I did to get it off. But in order to get this off, this air tube nut off without stripping it, you need a crow's foot. I've learned you need this in your arsenal. A crow's foot. Get a good picture of it. Write it down. Pray over. I don't know. You need this. Not the kind that are like straight, but you see these little claws on here. That's what you need to get this off. I can't stress that enough. I learned that the hard way. I sweated so many bullets trying to get this crap off. But this tool was definitely worth it. It comes in a set of, I think, 8, and it was $17 some change at O'Reilly's. But you need this to get that little nut, air tube off. That little piece back there. So once I did that, got everything lined up, and I stopped because I didn't want to mess anything up. So I had everything in the holes, and I stopped right there. And then I came back and tightened everything up another day. Used my O2 socket. I just put this back on here. You see how I was able to get this cord in here without having to cut this off. Just get that in there. Turn it clockwise or whatever. Plug my O2 sensor back in to the original sensor. This is the old Catalytic converter. Old one. New one. So, hope this helps.